Hey YouTube, this is Rad Chick, Christina. I'm about 3 weeks post-surgery now, and I had a craniectomy for the cerebellum herniation. I had multiple fractures fixed in my neck. I had some screws put in and stem cell fusion, where the piece of skull that they took out, they ground up with like stem cells and used it as cement for the fusion. It's gonna take a long time to heal. I'm in the neck brace. Well, this one at least the next 6 weeks, and then I think a soft one after that, and then I have a bone stimulator that I wear that's actually like around my it goes around the whole way, creating like an electromagnetic field that helps supposedly with the circulation to the area, which is way cool. There hasn't been a lot to report, really. Like, I haven't made any videos because I really just don't feel good. I've been really tired recovering from the surgery, and it's Christmas and you're trying to do stuff, and I don't know, like, kind of the last thing on my mind is like making a video. I wanted to let people know though that I'm doing okay, and it's just gonna take a while for all of this stuff to heal. I have to be really careful because of the fusion, that it heals properly, or the surgery really won't be a full success. The prognosis is kind of guarded because I've had the condition so long. So I have to say though, the doctor that did my surgery was an absolute genius, and the procedure that he does is a little bit different than the way that they do the brain decompressions for other people. I guess the craniectomy that he does is not like taking a huge piece of bone out of the back of my head. He drilled a hole like the size of a quarter, and it's kind of like under where my skull meets my spinal cord. I don't know exactly where. I have to have him show me next time I see him. I go back in a couple weeks to see him again. Ooh, almost spilled my coffee. But the cerebellum now gets, like, lays in that hole instead of going forward and pushing on my brainstem. And the only thing, there's nothing like tying it back or anything like that. So I still have attacks, but I'm only having them, I don't know, I had like 4 or 5 in one day, but that was early on. I had a really big one like a week after the surgery. I had one last week, and I had one yesterday, and they actually kind of followed the exact same sequence of events, where all of a sudden I start kind of feeling like, I'm collapsing, my ligaments are all popping, and then I go out of it, and I have, I don't know, they call it like a dissociative disorder because they really don't know what it is. It's like your cerebellum going into shock, basically, and I can't communicate, and it's almost like I turn into a different person, like this person with like zero life energy. And so then I lay down and I take my meds, and usually I'll fall asleep for a couple hours, and but I mean, I was having like up to 10 of these a day before, and I'm only having one, about every week. About every week, it's averaging out to a big one. So that's really good, because that was a really difficult thing to live with. What else was I going to tell you? Oh, memory. I'm having a hard time remembering what I was going to tell you. I still can't remember anything that happened in the last 24 hours. And I did a video for the patrons, the people that follow me on Patreon, kind of something funny about Sean's birthday, because we went to see the manatees. And like, the next day I couldn't even remember what we did. And I have to look at my Snapchat and Snap story and pictures and go through my phone call list and my email list to see who I've talked to. And sometimes I'll call people on the same day. Unfortunately, I've done this to my kids a bunch of times where I call them and it's like, hey, how you doing? And it's like, I just talked to you, a couple hours ago. And I have no recollection. So I take a lot of notes about what's going on. And the doctor that did my surgery, too, wanted to make sure that I'm taking notes for him because I have so much eye involvement from this condition. More, he said, than any patient he's ever seen. And he's been doing this a long time, and he's in his 60s. For whatever reason, the where stream and what stream, and that's actually what they're called, where and what stream in your cerebral cortex in the back of your head, gets messed up. So I have problems with depth perception, also because I see double sometimes. But that was really one of the first things that I noticed after the surgery when I woke up, was how much more vivid colors were and how much better my vision was. And I think I was seeing double pretty much all the time and just got used to it because it went on for so long. And I still see double sometimes. I have just a lot of little things. Instead of having sometimes these big attacks that I was having, I have a lot of little things, as far as muscle spasms, or it'll feel like hot water's getting poured on my leg or something like that. Weird neurological stuff, neuralgias, like goosebumps moving on my head, things like that. But it's nothing compared to what I was dealing with before. My symptoms probably decreased, I don't know, probably somewhere at least 50%. Probably more than that, more like 70%. And it's only been 3 weeks, so I know that I'm going to get better too, and which is good, because I'd like to be a little better than this. But I'm happy actually the way things are. I'm just really lucky, and I found the weirdest thing about this whole situation is the way that I found the doctor who ended up finding out what was wrong with me, diagnosing me, doing the proper imaging, and doing the surgery, was all because of a Daily Mail article. I went to Mayo, and I went to several hospitals, and I went into emergency rooms. Don't bite me. My cat just bit me. That's weird. I went to all these places and nobody had any clue, and I told them the problem is from my neck up, between my neck and my ears. It seems like that's where the problem stems from, and I have to lift my head when I start to go out of things because my head isn't sitting properly. It feels like my head's not sitting properly on my spinal cord. And it's funny because I had to see the doctor the day before surgery. And I told him, when I get up in the morning, it's almost every day now, that my head isn't sitting right. It feels like it's detached. And he's like, well, that's because it is. I have a torn alar ligament and a torn transverse ligament on top of all this. And the alar ligaments are what holds your C1 to your skull. I think some of this information gets a little cloudy at times because it's so much. It's so overwhelming, and to deal with it while you're not feeling well, it's hard to keep things straight, but I think I have that right. So the procedure that I did, they did a whole bunch of things at once, and I have a lot of swelling that was pre-existing and a lot of swelling from the surgery itself that will take time to go away. And I think I'm doing good. Stop it. I guess I have to go feed my cat. But I wanted to let everybody know that I'm okay. I think I'm going to be okay from this. It's a miracle. And I talked to the lady, Samantha. Save Samantha is the name of the campaign. This was the lady that was highlighted in the Daily Mail article, and she talked about having CCI, cranial cervical instability, and AAI, which is aloaxial instability. I didn't know my C1 was broken, too, on top of that. But she's not doing too good, and she came to the States and ended up having surgery and had kind of a poor result. Her fusion isn't taking. They used like bone marrow instead of stem cells. And she's got all kinds of plates and screws and stuff in her neck, and she can feel the metal grinding, and she's still on a neck brace, and they said she's going to need more surgery. So I'm trying to put her and my doctor together. I'm trying to get them to communicate with each other, or at least have her like send her records from the UK and from New York, from the doctor she saw in either New York or Washington, D.C., so he can see what's been done so far. Because I actually talked to him about her the other day, and he was like, it was too bad she didn't come to see me, because I could have fixed her. And he's not saying that like out of ego or anything. He's a very humble man. He's saying that because it's true. Like, he's a miracle worker. And I know that there's a lot of people that have the Chiari, and they have these decompressions done, and they're unsuccessful, or they need to be repeated, and all of that. And I mean, I might need to have something down the road. It's very, I would think, knowing how many problems I have or had, and how much surgery was done to correct it at my age, 48, it's likely that sometime in my lifetime I'm going to need more surgery for something, if I live long enough. So I have to prepare for that possibility. Right now I just need to like recover from this one, and I'm doing okay. So I want to thank everybody again that has I'm about to get bit again. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, you're just kissing me? You feel bad? This is Pooms. Mr. Puma. Oh, he almost did it. He likes to bite me in the wrists. He's a little torturer. So, anyway, that's how things are going. Pretty much okay. As well as can be expected, if not better. And the other thing too, and I talked about this in previous videos, is that I also had a DMX done, or digital motion x-ray, which shows like the bones and ligaments and everything moving in your neck as you move. And that was the way that they diagnosed the breaks, because the way the breaks were sitting, you couldn't really see them on MRI. You could see the brain herniation. That showed up in the previous films, and for whatever reason the doctors like ignored it or missed it, or were looking at the wacky blood vessels in my neck instead. And the reason those blood vessels were so wacky is because my bones, my vertebrae in my neck, were sliding so much that they were pulling, like rubber bands on my basilar arteries, which feed the back of my brain. So they're like completely stretched out. They're like, overused bungee cords. I said to Sean the other day, after years and years of my vertebrae playing, bumper cars with my spinal cord and my neck, bungee jumping off each other, and then my C1 like whacking my brain when I was walking. It was like like pinball. I had like 3 arcade games going on from my shoulders up. So anyway, thanks everyone for following me and leaving all your wonderful comments. And keep an eye on Wigner, and you know why. I'm still following that, and that'll be the first thing I do is an update on that, and it's going to be a big one. I appreciate all the people that have been saving articles and stuff like that and posting them, and not only in the Wigner group, but in the Six Celebrity group. And we're collecting so much data. It's crazy. And now it's how do we present the data, and how do we present it in a way that's, in a way that can be understood by people, and in a way that can be cross-referenced, and get more input from people who are in material science and the aviation industry, and mechanics, aviation mechanics and avionics. We need input from those people, as well as the flight crews, which we've been getting. And we even have members of flight crews in our Wigner group, which I don't know if people who are in the group even know about, because they don't comment often. They're just kind of sitting there, like, gathering their own data. And I know at least one person who quit because of the Wigner interview, and she was already really concerned about what she was seeing. She was a flight attendant for like 25 years, and she was so concerned with what she was seeing happening to the planes. When she came across the Wigner interview, she sent it to her friend who's an avionics engineer, and said, "Are they right? What are they talking about? Is this true? Is this real?" And he watched it, and he was like, "Yes, it is real. It's a real thing. It's really happening." And he's doing his own research and interviews. And I'm not going to say what his name is, because I don't know if he's using his real name or what. But yeah, it's not, that situation's not going to go away anytime soon. So everybody be safe. Have a wonderful holiday. And thank you so much for all of your lovely posts and comments and just everything. I've had people send me things in the mail, and vitamins, and just, just all kinds of stuff to help make this easier. You have no idea how much that helped me get through this, because there were a lot of days that I thought I wasn't going to make it through this. So happy holidays, and meow.